ways, to be fair. I mean, he'd be plenty age now, like, but...
Can we find out? Is Sting's brother still a milkman?
Is Sting's brother a milkman? Yeah. That's a good... I was going to Google it, but I haven't got a phone. You know, and you just like, you automatically pick up a phone to Google everything.
That's why when Alice is settled, Alice does the myth busting.
Aye.
Is Sting's brother a milkman?
Yeah, she just puts us to shame and calls us out on any bollocks that we kind of come out with to make sure it's true or false.
See, I actually thought his brother worked on the North Shields ferry.
Oh, Sting.
Well, you might have had a sideline.
It's a documentary, but it's not true. It's just a bloke who really looks like Sting.
Oh, really?
Works on North Shields ferry.
How does Sting's brother look like Sting? Because, and he got like sibling. He does look like Sting, does he?
The similar hairstyle and everything, bone structure.
You know what it is? I cannot escape Sting. I'm buying the toilets out there. And
I know it's on.
Walking on roads. Yeah,
it's our call out to get him on the podcast.
Walking on the moon was on.
I don't think he's a fan of being a Geordie anymore, though, is he? That's the problem.
I don't know. I think he's had like a resurgence.
Oh, has he?
The last couple of years.
Because he collected an award like 3 years too late or something, didn't he, for being a...
Yes.
He was in the press yesterday, and I think he's given 10 million to the Baltic or something like that.
Oh, we'll give him a point then.
So, he actually made a really good statement about the North East being forgotten by government.
Yeah.
So he's put 10 million pounds in the Baltic, which is quite a major thing.
It is quite a lot, isn't it? It's like, finding 10 million just down the back of the sofa.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things we saw a post the other day. It was Coleman's fish and chip restaurant. He was there 2 years ago, wasn't he? But he had a beard. I've never seen Sting with a beard before.
Yeah. That's incognito Sting.
Incognito Sting.
Yeah.
All you got to do is put a cap on though, and no one knows who you are. I think that's how you hide.
Sunglasses.
I don't know if he doesn't not like the North East. I think he's got like a complicated relationship with it. Do you know what I mean? If you listen to some of his early albums and that, it's quite
a love-hate. He did a Broadway show about the shipyard, and it just flopped. Because no one could understand.
Did you watch it though? I loved it. I went to see it.
Really? What do you mean they couldn't understand?
Because it was all Geordie, wasn't it? Well, when I speak to my American friends, they're like, what language are you speaking?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I've had subtitles on some of the podcasts I've done.
Honestly, we do that on the clips, and AI doesn't understand it.
Oh, no.
It doesn't understand Geordie. There's a proper faux pas. Plus, when we do like the Greg's order, it always comes up like Greg's as in someone's name. Do you know what I mean?
What did Greg order today?
What did Greg order today? It was that kind of thing. So, and it doesn't understand when we talk too quick. It just doesn't get it at all.
No.
And Roker came up Rocker last week. Like
it's brilliant.
Like as if it's a name. It's just but it's funny what it comes up with.
Yeah.
And it's really hilarious. You should do like
it's an idea actually for behind the scenes. You should do the real transcripts.
The real transcripts of AI to Geordie. It's just completely off.
Or we could maybe take a transcript of the podcast as per AI, and then redo the podcast as per the
very entertaining, brilliant. You could get the sometimes when I'm writing, I get the horrible robotic voice to read back me books, and the best one's like, it's bollocking. Am I your bollocking, man? They just don't get it. Can't get any Geordie words.
I love that though. That's good though, isn't it? Because it's never going to be
Geordie AI tool.
I would do.
Geordie AI.
Yeah. YI, Geordie I.
It's like, AC/DC's Brian Johnson, like navigating your map.
It is
Turn left there, bonny lad. Turn left, bonny lad.
Insane. It's like, I didn't realise work your ticket was a North East thing until someone said, what's a work your ticket? And my publisher, when I first got my publishing deal, she was like, what do you mean his kite's got bigger? I was like, well, he's belly, She's like, what's the bear? And I'm like, oh, come on, man.
Yeah. It's funny you should mention that because on a previous podcast, Peter Manning from Prefab 77?
Prefab 77.
Local artist. He brought that up, didn't he? Did he mention he was trying to hide his kite? And you were like, I haven't heard the word kite.
I haven't heard the word kite for years, because it's one of them things that people used to use all of the time. It's like, it's like just like building site terminology. But
my dad said kite all the time.
It is kite all the time, but it's kind of keeping it in. I've had a few choice words this week from my son, and it's kind of, they are rotating back in the mix of vocabulary in the schoolyard now. Things that you thought were going to disappear and go forever.
Right.
They're back with a vengeance. But who's teaching them that? Who's teaching them the words and the language? But
that must be interesting for you, though, because you're a writer. So you must kind of, because I think of words now that some of them go around full cycle. They disappear for 20 years and come back again. But there's stuff like kite, or do you remember, what did your dad or your family call trousers when you were a kid?
Pants.
My dad called them strides.
Strides is just a nice
stride, son.
But it's a slang. We always trying to put into slang words, just trying to kind of make it fun a bit more. Do you know what I mean? Have a little bit of fun with it.
What about tea? As in a cup of tea?
Brew.
Brew, really?
Oh, that's
Get on, have a brew.
Was it
is
really?
it Yorkshire, that
I
is,
thought
isn't
that was
it?
very Yorkshire as well.
Yorkshire.
A mate of mine, years ago, scads.
Scad? That's what my dad used to call it, scad.
Aye.
Cup of scad.
Plus it's scad and
Or
hot.
Rosie Lee,
Oh,
obviously.
yes,
I'll
yes, scad and
I'll
hot,
put the
yeah,
scads
yeah.
on. I'll put the scads on.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But it's coming from scad, not he just uses that because we know what he's talking about. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
So you
yeah.
start making it up in your own little click in your own world. Because that happens as well. You'll just kind of refine it. So you could say 3 words to your mates. No one else will have a clue what you're talking about, but you do because
brilliant.
you've you got used to kind of figuring that out.
Things
haven't you,
evolve,
along the
don't they?
way?
And I think,
Yeah.
you know, even within the Northeast, if you listen to someone from Ashington, it's totally different.
Or is it Pitmatic?
Yeah, yeah. And when I came to work, so I'm from Morsend, when I came to work in Sunderland, you're talking 15 years ago, I remember we had this conversation, all the staff were from, it was a homeless service and all the staff were from Sunderland. I remember talking about curry and I says, who's curry? And they were like, in Indian food. And I was like, you mean curry? They're like, curry. Like, they were curry. I was like, well, curry's the name. So
Do a test.
even the little...
Hang on. Hey, I know what's
Come
coming
on, let's do a test, Dan. Curry.
Curry.
Is that really how you say it?
No, I was going to say...
You don't say curry
Right.
like that.
Film.
Film.
Film? Yeah.
Oh, I've got one.
That gets
Film.
me, that, I get that. I get rinsed all the time. Film.
Film.
What
What's
about
film?
mirror? How do you say mirror?
Mirror.
Yeah.
Mirror.
Yeah.
It's got an
that's
E,
it,
yeah.
wait.
Mirror.
It's an E on the end, isn't it?
Yeah.
Mirror.
Mirror.
It's not mirror, huh?
Yeah.
Pillar?
It's
Is it a
really-
pillar or a pillar? It's a pillar.
Right. I've got to hang up. I've got to hang up, and I've always got to hang up about the way I talk. It really does bug the life out of me.
Really?
And seeing yourself back on these things, it's made it kind of worse. But I'm trying not to look at it and try and just this
I
is
think
how
it's
you
fun.
talk, because this is not how I sound inside the head.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
It sounds awful when I hear it back, but I think that's just ourselves. We don't like to hear our own voices.
Totally.
What do you think about
I
that?
totally agree. And I think it's really cringy. And I think also sometimes we try and change our voice. And I think it's really important to be genuine because I think we've got people who are from different parts of the country and the world. And as they kind of get more used to public speaking or doing anything in the media, they lose. And I think that's a real shame because I think you lose the authenticity and the down to earthness of being just proud of where you're from. And I'm really proud of the Northeast.
Yeah,
you know,
I am. It's hard not. So I was getting pelters, wasn't I, on TikTok a while back when we were talking about my posh telephone voice.
Oh yeah, because
I didn't even realise I did it.
yeah,
And
but we kind of all do. You know, I lived in London and I came back home. They're like, "Bah, you sound posh." I'm like, "Really? It's just because you've got to articulate it so people can understand what you are saying."
Yeah,
Do you know what I
yeah.
mean?
I'm going back maybe 10 years ago. I was on a trip in China and I was with a woman. It was about 10 different obstacles, right? But I was a woman in China who was from Australia, who lived in China for 15 years. Big influencer. She's called Heidi Dugan. Heidi. And she's massive in China. So she's what you call a KOL, key opinion leader. She's, so like the world of WeChat and TikTok and all that. She's a really big figure. And I was doing I had to do a live food tasting on stage with her. And it was getting streamed. And it was in this really big venue. And I effectively had to go on stage, right, with a canapé with Primula cheese on it. Right.
Brilliant.
And talk to people in China about Primula cheese. Yeah. And I remember I was on the stage with somebody from Primula. I was there with Caroline from Acorn Dairy in Darlington. I was with somebody from Taylors of Harrogate, the coffee company. All on the stage. I had to sit there and talk about Primula cheese, right? And trying to say squeezy cheese and have that understood, by somebody who's Chinese or somebody who's Australian. But before we went on the stage, we were sitting with Heidi, and she said she needed a bowl to put some things in to go on stage.
Nice.
Now, will I get you a bowl? And I swear to God, this conversation lasted about 10 minutes. It was like a standoff. She was looking at me going, a bowl. And I was going, a bowl. A bowl. And she's going, honestly, I'm not being funny. I really don't understand what you mean. I was going, a bowl. She was going, a bowl. I went, bowl. And I had to go and find the thing and go, bowl. And she went, all right, a bowl. I can't say it like that.
That's when
it was a genuine. I don't know how to communicate with you because you don't understand what I'm saying.
That's when the phone comes in handy. A picture of a ball.
Like that.
It's like that. But
Geordie flashcards. You just walk around going, that's what I meant. Bull.
No,
right, there you are.
you know what I'd like? I like doubling down on the international language, the hand signal, the gesture language. Yeah, it's like cup of tea and sort of. That's no, right? Stop now. I kind of cut it off kind of thing. Yeah. I had this miscommunication last week. We're in the supermarket and my wife was like at one aisle, but one of the children were like blocking the full view of what she said. So I ended up going down the aisle and getting the thing that she said no to.
Right.
But I'm like, what are you doing? This is no. You've got to do that.
Learn
and
it.
then I understand what that is now. But you were like just going, I don't know. There was too many words, and I just need one action. That means no.
Or a look.
So, or a look, or kind of.
Yeah.
Even just like a harsh 1-2 on the head shake is enough, isn't it?
Yeah.
But it's that. I love that. It's kind of, when you click with people and you just know what you're talking about. You go.
Yeah.
It's just that. All you need is a little eyebrow raise and a nod, and they get what you're saying. Love it. But that's good. I love that. That's fascinating.
Yeah, it is fascinating.
Yeah.
Language is fascinating.
Because I would be like, ball. Like, and then you start like putting things in it.
Yeah.
Then you start miming like.
You could have spelled it out, to be fair.
Yeah.
Gives you the spelling test, to be fair.
I should have done. Yeah. Walk around with a flip chart on my back all the time.
Yeah.
That'd be good, wouldn't it? Yeah.
Just in case. Yeah. I like the flashcard idea though.
I like the flashcard. Just pop
what
full of
words
cards.
are problematic to say in a Geordie accent?
Yeah.
Well, I'll just take flashcards everywhere I go. That's what I meant.
You know the little packs, the little kids' cards when they're trying to learn how to read and spell and stuff like that.
That's what I mean. Yeah, like a picture of a ball.
Just basic stuff.
Geordie flashcards.
Yeah, Geordie
There you go.
flashcards.
That's
There's the
good.
thing.
So it's a brand
Merchandise
thing.
always comes out with these podcasts, right? There we are. Geordie flashcards.
Yeah.
Right.
Perfect.
On that. Right, okay. Put a pin in it and
Put
remember that one.
Alice, I'll tell you. Right.
So,
What we're talking about?
we have
Sorry.
started, by the way.
Yeah.
Right? So, you are our first nominated guest.
Oh, yes.
Oh, how
Helen,
brilliant.
you nominated guests because we put the call out, didn't we?
Yeah, because we said with Local Heroes when we first set it up, it's like, it's got to be about everybody in the community, right? Everybody's got a story to tell. So we put the call out about 6 weeks ago, I think.
Something like that.
And it was, you probably remember who she is, but Jodie James,
Yeah.
who's also a writer, is that
She
right?
is, yes.
So Jodie, thank you for suggesting.
Hang on.
Very
Hang on.
kind.
Geordie or Geordie?
Hold on a sec.
Geordie.
Just, Jodie.
Geordie.
Yeah.
Jodie.
Jodie. Jodie.
Sound like
It's,
Geordie. Is that you were close to Geordie James there when you said
Jeans.
Jodie Jeans.
I was like, is it a made up name? Because she's a writer. Do you know when you kind of make a name?
Yeah. It's a good name, Geordie Jeans.
Geordie James.
Yeah.
Geordie James'
Right, I'm taking that as
new
your
novels
pen name.
coming out. Yeah,
See,
your pen name.
I'm going to take that as my pen name.
Perfect pen, innit?
There's a good
Jodie Jean.
Geordie Jane.
You could have the motif. Can you remember the motif?
Oh,
Yes.
yeah. Oh, do you know, I was talking to somebody about this recently. Do you not remember?
badges,
You go to Jodie Jeans, right? And I don't know what I was thinking. Do you remember the Flintstones ones? I found a picture
Do
of
you know
one.
I had a pair?
I had a
swear
pair.
I had a pair. Me and my
Flintstones?
sister.
Yeah, yeah.
Brilliant.
Fred here,
Yeah.
Wilma there. Oh, no, Fred
Barney.
here, Barney.
Barney. Yeah.
Yeah, I brought it up as a topic with a street food vendor that I know, right? And he just completely broke his brain because he went, oh, I forgot about them. I had a pair of them.
I'd forgot.
Everybody had a pair of them.
I only
You worth a
remember.
fortune.
Yeah.
So I'm going to assume that we're all in the same age bracket.
I remember the Peppy. If you remember Peppy K rings, then you're in.
Yeah.
Peppy K rings because you'd only buy a pair of jeans just for the Peppy K ring.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Like kickers, for the tags.
Kickers, tags, Peppy Keyrings.
Pods,
The days
pods.
of collectibles.
Yeah.
Like, do you remember?
collectibles.
Sorry, I've gone off.
Collectibles,
No,
the
sorry,
shop.
we'll get back.
Collectibles. Oh, it's going to bring up my mum again, actually. We used to go to collectibles all the time.
Brilliant.
Meet in Collectibles Cafe. Do a nice soup and sandwich deal.
Super
Be
sandwich.
terrified walking around because there's glass everywhere.
Yeah.
Remember? Do you remember collectibles?
It was where
Just glass shelving. It's where you used to go downstairs, didn't you, in town, in Newcastle, on Northumberland Street.
Yeah.
And it was like where you would never take your kids because there was just glass ornaments and figurines everywhere. Like everywhere.
It was.
Which, of course, several years later, when I turned it to a different store, I took my son in there and there was a big stack of like outdoor, I think they're like, what do you call the outdoor fires that have you got on?
Like a fire pit.
Yeah, like a fire pit. They've got a name though, another the ones that I've got
Chimney.
a cone. Yeah. There's a stack of them. I'm pretty sure at the time his son was like doing like a Star Wars reenactment or something. And he knocked the whole lot over.
Nice.
Honestly,
Yeah.
shocking.
Yeah.
Anyway, collectibles.
Brilliant.
Remember the yo-yos? Do you remember the Sprite?
Oh, the Sprite and
Coca-Cola.
Coca-Cola, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you walk the dog?
I couldn't do anything.
But you had to get it had to be just loose enough when it was close to the actual yo-yo itself. Is that what's called? This is yo-yo.
Yeah.
Nice string and yo-yo.
Yo-yo.
Yo-yo. But it had to be loose enough because you had to like manipulate that so when you did it, it would spin at the bottom.
Well, quality
and then you'd
items.
kick it
They're
back
really
up,
good, them.
you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it'd take like a year to kind of get that, perfect that right, wouldn't it?
I just didn't. I had a yo-yo, but I didn't embrace it. I liked them. They had two names. They were called Jump Jumpers or Bounce Bouncers. Can you remember? Very original. And they were kind of like a ball with a plastic ring halfway through, and you used to stand
And my door's got
and
one still.
grip.
There's one in my front
And then
room.
bounce up and down like a
grip the
fogo.
ball and,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
jump around.
Yeah.
Oh, brilliant.
They were huge, weren't they?
Yeah.
They were massive.
Yeah.
What about, like it's just like a little half rubber like ball cutting off, semicircle. Push
Oh, they were
poppers, weren't
fantastic.
Pops,
So you just
yeah.
just turn them inside out and then
And
wait and then
fling
we'll just
up.
pop them there.
Yeah.
But all of these things were just, I don't know. Now it's like a prime bottle.
I don't
You buy
usually
a
go to
prime
Alice
bottle or
this early in the podcast, right?
something.
But it just sort of, because I like the generational divide, right? There's a slight age gap between us and you, right? Do you remember those things?
I do actually.
You do?
Yeah.
Do you
I feel
remember the
like-
yo-yos? Do you
Yeah,
remember the
yeah.
poppers?
Yeah. I think I was probably like the last like teenage set that got to enjoy all these things before it became like iPads.
Yeah.
It's like them red spiders I used to crawl on the window.
I
Yeah.
seen one the other day.
Did you?
Yeah. Oh, do you mean the real? I'm thinking about those tiny little real spiders that
Oh,
used
yeah.
to
I used to call them
squash.
money spiders.
In the
on the
80s.
brick walls.
I was
Yes.
told, yes.
Yes.
My kids were
Tiny
doing that.
ones.
the way
Where's
they
they
did.
gone?
I seen some the other day in my garden. They're
Brick?
in my garden.
Yeah. It depends on
Really?
the brick. Because we've got like an old stone brick wall outside the house and they've got
Brick
them on there.
spiders.
Because the kids were like, how's these little red spiders? I'm like, I remember sitting on the wall for hours.
Yeah.
But-
Letting them crawl on your hands and that and just,
Well, I mean, you'd just be like
killing them.
doing that. Well, that's what we
Are you
did. and
responsible
this
for the
is-
decline in the red spider?
Yeah. Oh, I'm responsible for
Red spider colour.
They're not exactly an endangered species. They're all over the place. I mean,
That's one for Edinburgh
but the
to
kids
answer
were
that
doing
one.
that, and you know what I did? Don't do that. Leave them alone. I'm like, hypocrite. It's one of them things. isn't it?
Yeah.
You just instantly, what do boys do? That's it. What you do. There's a moth. I'm like shooing everything out the window. I catch spiders, I let them go. Flies, I kind of shimmy out. Do you know what I mean? Shimmy out a fly. You ever shimmied out a fly, Chris?
Yeah. It's quite a difficult thing to do.
Shimmy out a fly because you go, it's gone, and it comes back. It's
Comes
there,
back.
magic, aren't they? You
Yeah,
kind
but
of
have you ever tried to force shimmy it?
force shimmy.
Like, so it's struggling to get through the gap of the window or something. So you just, like, right at the very, very last instance, you think, I'll just help it out. But you hit it a bit too hard and just on its way out, you kill it by flicking it.
Is that your fucking moment? Is it?
Oh, yeah, come on. I'll give you enough chances now. Get out the fucking house. Just get out the window. You just hear that bounce and you think, it's not going to survive that.
That's not going to survive. Yeah.
And I do have a bit of guilt about that.
Yeah,
Anyway.
you do feel bad. I don't know about post collectibles. We were talking about.
You're going to have to get used to tangents, by the way, on this.
Yeah.
Because we are going to make this relevant in a second.
Yeah, please, orchestrate the conversation, pull us back, and talk about anything you want.
Random's always brilliant.
No, but do you
we'll
know,
go off somewhere.
there's
that
actually,
we can't come
like
back
all
from.
of our worlds, there is a connect with Helen, isn't there, between us two? Which was quite odd that you got nominated to come on, because I actually reached out to you about 3 years ago, didn't I?
Yeah.
Because I was wanting help with writing,
Yes.
and I saw Helen on Instagram, and I reached out to you, and you were really, really helpful.
Okay.
Then we didn't speak again until you got nominated to come on.
All right, okay. So what was the help that you needed, Chris? Just everyday writing, or was
Can you
it
help us
general?
write a bestseller so I can quit my job?
All right, okay. Yeah, how did that go?
No, what I can't remember now. I might have to look at my Instagram message.
Yeah.
I was really keen to work out how
Mm-hmm.
I could get more support to write, because I felt,
Support, right? Well done, and like
like gold stars and that.
You're doing a
Yeah.
good job, Chris. Keep
I
going.
just
That's
yeah,
support.
I wanted to make it a thing.
All right, okay.
You know, I write,
Yeah.
but I wanted to take it beyond there. And I struggle. I'm quite a free form type of writer, and I wanted to work out how to put some more structure around it, because I was desperate to write fiction,
The
which I
fellas
find hard because I always end up defaulting back to sort of factual writing,
Yeah.
or almost semi-biographical type of writing, rather than trying to get out what's in my head from a fictional perspective, like stories and.
Yeah, as a man who doesn't give many compliments, I'm going to compliment you. You're very articulate and you're very good at
Thanks
writing
very much,
as well.
Dan.
So yeah, no.
Ball.
Film.
But have you progressed from that, Chris? From the 3 years ago, have you progressed? Have you done anything with regards to your writing?
Just still not fictional stuff. I've got reams of ideas and prose and paragraphs and sentences that I write that I pluck out the air and they go on my notepad.
Yeah.
And they sit there. I don't know how you work, but sometimes they'll fit into one thing or move them around. I think sometimes people think you just sit and write a story down, but sometimes I come up with a form of a sentence that I like, or like the sound of, or the feel of it, and I'll park it somewhere because I think I don't know where that belongs.
Perfect.
Or what might grow out of it, because that might become a different story in its own right, or it might fit into something else that I'm thinking about.
Yeah.
So yeah, but I still haven't progressed the fictional side of stuff. Like I write a blog, but it's mostly about food and ranting about politics and stuff like that.
Boring.
It's crap. It's so important that it gets 3 likes.
The thing is, it's done in your voice when you do it. So I think that's the most important thing, is when you read something that Chris has written, you know it's coming from him.
Absolutely.
Because it has a form.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Yeah, and even fiction, you can do narrative non-fiction where fiction is inspired by real life.
Yeah.
So if you've got a lot of things, that are non-fiction as such, topic-wise, you can make those into fictional characters. And, people can be based on people, scenarios can be based on things that have happened. And that makes it more authentic.
Yeah. So where did your journey start then with writing?
Well, I never wanted to be a writer, first of all. And I think that's really important because I think society kind of sometimes tells her that we've always wanted to do something to be successful.
Yeah.
But I also think you can wake up one day and have a dream. So I kind of fell into writing through a number of channels. I hadn't read for years because I was busy working. I worked in social care and senior management, so I had a very stressful, busy job. And life just gets in the way of we're doing things for us, doesn't it? So I hadn't read for years. And then a friend of mine who used to work in the police with a vice team, so he used to focus on people who bought sex in brothels. And he retired from the police, and he came to work on a team that I was managing, which was around supporting people who were victims of sexual exploitation, trafficking, and people who were doing survival, sex work, and escorting. So he came to work with more the victim side of it and supporting the victims rather than the kind of punitive side of things. And he wrote a book about, there was a large operation called Operation Sanctuary, I think it was called Sanctuary Shelter, in the Northeast, which was a massive organised crime gang around sexual exploitation. And we were part of that. And he wrote a book on his experiences. And I was like, oh, wow, Ian's wrote a book. I was just so proud of him. And I just thought he's just a brilliant person. So I read his book and I was just like, this is brilliant. And I remember reading it over one Christmas holiday, and I was on my exercise bike in my spare room and I was reading his book and I just couldn't stop reading it. And he kind of ignited me love again for the written word and for stories. So I began reading it loads. And then I read a book by Mitch Albom, who's an American author. He's most famous for Tuesdays with Morrie, which was about his college professor who had motor neurons disease. And I read one of his books called The 5 People You Meet in Heaven. And it was just the most profound, beautiful book I'd ever read. And it really kind of left an imprint. And I was like, this is just gorgeous. It's beautiful. And the simplicity of words that can be put in a sentence that just really hits a reader. So I was like, well, I want to write something that makes someone feel how I do now.
Was that a new feeling? You hadn't really thought about that before?
I'd never thought about it. All I'd ever done is really wrote for work, reports.
So you weren't as a kid like writing creative things. You weren't coming up with stories and
not any more than any other child. So I applied for a place on a course with live theatre in Newcastle. It was like a playwriting course, and you had to submit a piece. So I got on this course. I got a place on this course, and when I joined, we all went round seeing who we were and what we did, and people were like, I've had plays done on radio too, and I'm doing English literature at university. And I was like, well, I write emails. That's all I do. All I do every day is write about 100 emails, and most of them are ranting. And that's all I've ever done. But it was brilliant, the course, and I learnt loads, and it just built me confidence about actually I could.
Do you remember what the piece was that you submitted to get on?
Yeah, it was about domestic abuse.
Right.
So it was a short piece about domestic abuse. And yeah, the course was brilliant. So after that, I was like, I might write. So I started writing poetry, and that's a really good segue into someone who wants to be a writer, because poetry is quick.
Yeah.
And it's very much something you can write from the heart. And the thing with a poem is if we all read a poem, we'd all have a different interpretation. And that's what makes poetry beautiful, is that you can just really kind of hone it into your own personal experience. Very heartfelt. And I got a few of my poems published in a mental health anthology, and I thought, they can't be that rubbish, someone's thought they're okay. And it just kind of grew. So I was writing short stories, and I was ending up getting shortlisted and things published. So then I thought, I'll write a book, just like that. And I was working at the time, so I was still working for the national charity that I worked for, and I would just write on an evening and on weekends. And I didn't tell anyone, apart from my partner and some of my close friends and family, because it was kind of a secret, because I thought, well, I'm not a writer. My degrees were criminology and sociology, and then I did social work. Nothing to do with creative writing. And I just thought, that's not me. It doesn't happen to people like me. It doesn't happen to someone from Moore's End. You've got to be in London to get these opportunities. You've got to have always wanted to write. You've got to know kind of set English, because it's just an absolute labyrinth. It's a nightmare. All the editing rules and stuff. But I wrote this book, and I wrote it in about 6 months, 5-6 months, on an evening and weekends. And as I was writing it, that my first book, The Dinner Club, it's based on 5 very different people who have all got a secret, and they connect over a come dine with me style dining group. And it's about friendship and love and loss and hope and acceptance. So as I was writing it, one of the characters was based on my grandma, and she died suddenly when I was writing it. So it became something that I was using as a tool to manage my grief. And I'd be writing about my grandma, and I'd be getting upset, but then it was also like a tribute to her. So I kept going. So then when I did get my publishing contract, I thought it was a final gift for me little grandma, bless her, looking down on us. So yeah, my kind of writing journey as such is probably very different to some other people, but I think it's important to recognise that we can all get to the same destination, even if our journeys are a little bit different.
It's a theme that has come up several times on here, and I don't know whether it's a Northeast thing, but we do have a bit of imposter syndrome. I mean, I don't know if it's where you're from. You said you grew up in Wallsend, and you have that slight sort of feel that you're sort of misshapen, like it's not your opportunity to have.
Yeah.
And I get that. I mean, I guess that's where I was coming from when I reached out to you, because I felt like you sort of feel like all these creative sectors, whether it's art or whatever, right? Filmmaking or writing, they kind of get institutionalized or like commoditized, and you don't really feel like you're part of that club.
Yeah.
And you've got to sort of find ways into it. Did that hinder you at all? Because I know you said you did the course at Live Theatre. You had that feeling of kind of, I shouldn't really be here. So did you get over that quickly? And did the writing come naturally, or did you have like lots of demons with like, I shouldn't be doing this?
I think it did take time, and I think I'm also from a generation where we're told not to shout about our achievements. I think it's different for younger people. I think that's brilliant. I think younger people can be what they want and who they want, and it's all accepted and encouraged. And I think that's really, really positive. But for my generation, I think it was kind of like, well, you do this and you're expected to do that, and this is the path that you follow. And you're kind of, especially women, seen and not heard, and you're going to be a mother and you're going to be this, and all these, I guess, societal expectations and cultural expectations. And I think also we're really bad at being proud of ourselves and recognising our achievements, and we're really self-critical. And for me, as a writer, or if you're doing anything where you're out there, you have to develop a thick skin, because there's always going to be someone who says, that's rubbish, or gives you a 1-star review. And ultimately that says more about them 99.9% of the time than the actual product or the person who they're reviewing. But yeah, I had to kind of just think, I can do this, and I am, I'm as important as anyone else, and I'm as entitled to try this as anyone else. And if it doesn't work out, that's okay. But for me, the only failing is never trying.
Yeah.
And I was kind of the attitude of if it doesn't go anywhere, that's okay, but at least I've tried.
I think the passion and the want to do it has to overcome that fear of what people are saying about it, because everything you've just said in the past 10 minutes, I could have a 20-minute conversation about every single point that you're making, because I was raised in the same area, in the same mindset. You didn't know anybody in this field, so how the hell do you know there's an opportunity out there to do that?
Absolutely.
Where do you go? If your auntie, uncle, if your friends, if there's nobody to work in jobs, one's at a hospital, one's in a factory, one's doing a thing, they've got a trade, engineer, whatever it is, making films, photography, writing, being creative, but it's sitting in your brain all the time, and you think you're like the only one in the room who's the odd one out.
Yeah.
And that's that all of the time.
Yeah.
So you're going to have imposter syndrome. You've been an imposter everywhere you've been, because inside your head, you're an imposter in this world that you've just been dropped into, going, well, I think different. Why do I think different?
Totally.
And they're not seen as the arts are not seen as proper jobs. In the arts industry, the people are exploited. People would say to me when I first got my publishing contract, "Hey, you're going to retire," and I'm like, "You're joking? This is the hardest gig I've ever had."
Yeah.
I sold 3 books to a bookshop in America, and I got 60 pence.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's a really hard job. Anything in the arts, because you're always going to be undervalued.
Yeah. But it's the 1% they see that's made it, and then they go, "Oh, you're all going to be like that." No.
Yeah.
If you want to be, this is a journey. It's a marathon. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
You're in it because you want to do it and you're passionate about it. We all want the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, but that doesn't really exist for the 99% of everybody else who has to do this and needs to do this. Because what else are you going to do? You've pushed out of that mindset and that way of life, right? And that lifestyle to live in a world that you are so passionate about and want to do, and is who you are, genuinely who you are as a person. And you've got to keep going with that.
Totally.
You can't let go of that.
Totally.
But that's a pressure.
Absolutely. And I think there's this thing about you can only get these things if you live in the South. Because
the easier to
resources.
Get, because there's more resources, more opportunity, and that's where the bubble is.
Yeah, and it's where it's more culturally normal, and accepted. And I think this is where, so when I got my publishing contract, I left a 20-year career in social care, and I set up a community interest company called Write on the Tyne to help to make creative writing and expression more accessible for marginalised people. And we're ultimately marginalised because we live in the Northeast. But within the communities of the Northeast, people just have never had an opportunity. They've never went to school. They've been in prison. They've been homeless. They've got mental health issues. They've had addiction issues. They come from a family that's never encouraged them to do anything or be anyone. And I wanted to make sure that people have a chance to share and to tell stories, because the Northeast has got such a rich tapestry of storytelling and heritage and history and culture. And people should be proud. We are proud, but we need to share that, and it needs to be documented. And the voices of our communities, the stories of our communities, whether they be fiction or not.
But even going back to the earlier conversation, the language.
Absolutely.
We have a duty to kind of carry that language forward, or preserve it, or celebrate it, or evolve it. And there's so much, cultural richness there that I don't think we've done enough with for a long time. Do you think there's enough? I mean, is there enough infrastructure in the Northeast to support writers? And that's a really big question, but you know what I mean? Like, how do we tease these people out?
Yeah, I mean, I think we can always have more, can't we? If we compare to different parts of the country, but there is services like New Writing North who are brilliant and have got a lot of funding. But I think for me, there's something about the writing being elitist and the arts being elitist, and that's where, for me, for my business, and it's tiny, it's just me. But there was something about bringing storytelling to people, because people don't necessarily go to libraries or go to the theatre, or go into a bookshop, but their stories are equally as important. So I think we've got to give people opportunities at every single possible entry point.
Yeah.
And that's what I try to do through me non-profit business. And I was given an opportunity. My publisher's in the South. I was given an opportunity. So I think if I've been given an opportunity, hopefully I can then inspire other people that they can maybe do it, or at least try. You don't have to be a published author if that's not what you want, but sharing your stories and writing is massively good for your well-being. There's been loads of theories around the benefits of writing and sharing and connecting. So even if it's just for that is magnificent. Do you know what I mean? Anything else is a bonus, but people should be able to pursue the dreams and the goals and ambitions.
Yeah, because it's completely changed with social media, and now it's sort of, that's given people a platform to share stuff, but how do you get seen in a world that's just, it's about clicks and likes and
absolutely
jumping on a bandwagon and all that kind of thing? It really is difficult.
But there's also that issue of elitism, though. It's still there. The perception is still there. So even if you're
well, it is. You only get if you're popular, though. Do you know what I mean? And that's like
well, you do. But so even if you're an altruistic organisation, like you're right, New Right North do really, really great work, but there'll still be a million people out there who don't feel like they can reach out to organisations like that, because they're probably, they're probably haunted by the same feelings that you did. Imposter syndrome. That's not my world. I can't get into that. So, it puts the fear in them to not then pursue that dream.
Yeah, because you might be creative in your head and you can be able to put it down on paper, but you might not be able to communicate that across. Totally. And you've got to be a lot of things in a freelance world. You've got to be a salesperson. You've got to be a business person. You still got to be the creative. Absolutely. And you've got to get things done. You've got to have a good work ethic. But also, you need money to kind of earn a living, to pay the bills, so you can actually continue to do this. It's a lot of things.
It's hard. And I think there's people who, have been taught maybe that they can't, so they don't. That self-fulfilling prophecy of they've had a difficult time at school, and they think they're thick. Mm-hmm. So they think they haven't got a story to tell. So within my business, I develop models and then I apply for funding to do work specifically with targeted groups, or I would be commissioned by a local authority to do something, or I look for something where I just know there's a gap and there's a barrier, something that isn't being done, or learners who will never get the opportunity. So at the moment I'm working in HMP Low Newton with the inmates to do some therapeutic writing, and we're producing an anthology book at the end of it. And it's people like that who maybe haven't had the opportunity. They've had a lot of trauma in life. They maybe haven't been in school, and just don't have the self-belief that their voice is important, that their words are important, that their thoughts are important. And I think the more that we can do that and encourage people in anything, regardless of career or hobby or interest, it's about the connection that we get from that and the well-being, and that people feel that they're worth something.
I guess that's kind of what we're about with this. All lived experience is important, irrespective of your background, what your journeys look like, how interesting your story seems compared to anybody else, because obviously comparison kills everybody, because you always think somebody else's story is better than the other person's, but they're not.
Is the thief of joy.
It's all relative, isn't it? Exactly. Yeah, it is. So, elevating voices and being able to bring out those stories with a bit of sort of equity and equality, and people recognising that what comes out of their mouth is equally as important as what comes out the next person's mouth. I think it's really, really important.
Yeah, and everybody, look, it's your journey, your story is your journey. You should have a right to be able to tell that. And I want to mention like a Storyland, Chris. Cause,
go for it.
I did a Storyland. I don't want to mention his name because it's a bit too in the details.
Mention what Storyland is.
Well, Storylands are just a platform for people to share their stories, which might help other people.
Oh, brilliant.
So it's a long form interview, pretty much a camera. I ask questions and just interview that person, and then they tell their journey, their life story, and it might help others who've been in a similar situation. So sat and interviewed somebody with mental health issues. It was a guy, and he's had real PTSD of how he was raised, right? And this was a huge thing. And publishing this thing he was quite nervous about it going out, because what happens if his family kind of come back and say something to him? Well, one of his family members actually got in touch with me and said, I've seen this, I've read this, and I don't, what he says about the family and how he was raised, I don't know if it's not fair on that person. He has a different perspective and all this kind of stuff. And I came back and going, that's his truth and that's his story. Who are you to tell me to take that down?
Yeah.
And who are you to tell him he can't say that? That bugged me. And he was so nervous, and we did edits on it. We changed clips that went out, so it wasn't throwing certain members of the family under the bus, but it was his story. It happened to him.
Yeah.
Why the hell can he not talk about that? That's what he's going through at that present moment. That is real. That happened to him. You should not come to somebody and say, you can't put that out. Pretty much that's the ins and outs of it. Take that down, or that's not what happened. No, it's what happened to him. You're seeing it from another angle.
Totally.
You're not him. He's allowed to say that and do what he wants. That's where I lie with it. You've got to be impartial with this thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
If you want to tell your side, then you come on, you tell your side. He tells his side. They're out there, then you can kind of deal with it as you wish. But it's not picking on anyone, it's not throwing anyone under the bus. But it happened to him.
Yeah.
Tell the story, tell your truth. And case in point, why should we tell people, no, you can't say that?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I totally agree. I think, you know, in people's experiences, that it gets validated through that. So by you recording someone's experience and listening and then publishing it, you're validating someone's experiences. You're giving them that empowerment. And saying it's okay to feel like that, to share that, because other people also feel like that. And I think the more we do that, you know, the only thing I ever want from my books is for someone to feel heard and seen, and to someone to feel that they're not alone. And one of the first projects I did was with some veterans in North Tyneside, Northumberland. And I used to manage some veteran services, and my dad's a veteran, and I worked with these veterans, and it was basically 70 years of conflict. And the youngest person was 30, and the oldest was a Wren who was 92. And then there was everyone in between. And a lot of them were male. A lot of the veterans were male. And they were of a generation, so they were kind of, 70, 80. And I was going along, and I was just new. They didn't know me. And I think something like 80% of them said, well, no one wants to hear my story. And I was like, I absolutely do want to hear your story. It's imperative that we hear your story. And they just had this sort of, I'm not important. It was just a job. I was part of a team, which is brilliant, the camaraderie, but they just didn't understand that their voice was really important. And I went to see one of the guys who was in his 70s and he was still working. And I went along and I just met him. And this guy was a soldier, but he was also a photographer in Northern Ireland. And he had to go along. He was a spotter, so he would look for the terrorists, and he would also go along and take photos of kind of the terrorism and, unfortunately, the aftermath and the dead bodies. And he was like, Pet, how are you? I was looking at dead bodies. And I was like, oh, fine. So he had these big files of all these photos of what he'd seen. And he was sobbing. And I said to him, have you ever spoken to anyone? He says, nah, no one's ever asked. I just thought, God, do you know, no one's ever asked what this man had seen in the trauma. And his wife was then just said, he's still, in his 70s, he's still, if he hears a car backfire, he hits the deck. I'm just like, how's no one ever done anything to support this person? And
do you think there was a fear of his truth? Do you know, like, some people are frightened to talk about explicit things or traumatic things. So there was just an element of people not really wanting to ask because they didn't really know how they could handle what he would say.
What do you do with it?
Yeah,
but also the generation of, we don't talk about these things. Men, older men, I won't talk about the fact that I'm struggling, or I won't ask for help, because that's not what men do. It's not what people do. We just get on with it. And, it's really important that these things are told as part of history and part of heritage, but also to dissolve those myths and stereotypes, and just to make someone feel that they're not alone from sharing a process, a feeling. So the guy you're talking about, people could have read that all over the world. People that will never meet that man, but they've felt heard and they felt listened to and they felt validated, and that they're not alone. And that's worth more than anything.
That's the most important thing, though. That's the whole point.
Yeah,
is to put it out there so somebody sitting around can go, I'm not alone.
Absolutely.
I've gone through the same thing.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of bravery, Dan. We've got recent experiences. Like I wrote something recently. And I ended up taking it down.
Yeah,
I wrote a really truth, because I think I try my best all the time to be truth to the point of fault, where I don't agree with sanitizing things. And I think we're all grown up, whether it's in a professional space or whether it's in the industry you work in or whether it's in your personal life.
Yeah.
I think, going back to what you said before about Storyland, I think you have the right to speak without editing your voice. Yeah. And I wrote something and I got encouraged to take it down because it might affect like a business decision or something that we're working on at the moment. Right. I really struggled with that. Because I thought, if we're in this era of, mental health first aiders and businesses doing all it can to help people talk about the mental health and mental well-being, but we're still going through that process where we're encouraging people to sanitize their truth because that truth might affect, something that they're going to do professionally. And I think we're in a really difficult, sticky point with that because I don't think it's moved on.
No,
I still think it's an issue.
I don't think it's moved on.
Yeah.
People think and they like to talk about it moving on. And we're going to deal with mental health issues. Well, people still don't talk about mental health issues at work. Why? Because then you're going to be targeted and go, oh, there's something wrong. Let's keep an eye on him. Well, he's not solid. He's not stable. He might not come to work. Blah, blah, blah. It's like you were trying to fly the flag. Why didn't you walk? You know what I mean? It's like, people talk about they don't go through with what they say they're going to do.
I'm going to be really honest about it, right? I'm happy to be honest about it. I had a mental breakdown in about 2020 or 2019, and I worked for a government department. And I just thought, because it was that era of we've got mental health first aiders.
Yeah.
Speak up, speak out. You don't hide anything. And the second I spoke about it, I felt marginalized.
Yeah.
I felt like what was happening was, rather than the mental health first aid being a thing for me, it was more about the optics on the business.
Yeah, it's optics.
We have a provision in place to cope with these things, but it wasn't about whether I was getting better. It was about what they could prove they were doing to help me.
Yeah. In the box.
And it didn't help. I mean, it got to the point where even when I think I was off work for 3 months, and when I started to go back to work, I had young kids, and I might be late one day for work, and it would be like, is it because, are you struggling again mentally? And it's like, no, I was just literally stuck in traffic.
Yeah.
Well, that's why people don't want to talk about it.
The stigma was there all the time, and I eventually moved from that job because I felt like I couldn't shake it off.
Yeah, because you get labelled or you get pushed out, or it's it just so happens that your contracts not get taken up again.
Well, that's what happened. I was thriving at the time in the job that I did. Yeah. I was delivering everything, single thing I was asked to do and beyond. But I could feel the dynamic shift the second I was honest about where my head was at. So rather than put interventions in to just help me, I felt like they started dismantling.
Right.
Yeah. But, bang on, they fly the flag, but they don't go through with what they say. And that bugs the life out of me, and it's box ticking now. Yeah. It really is.
Yeah.
I hate it. I hate box ticking.
So do I.
You'll probably get it with funding as well.
Yeah.
If you take the lower end of the boxes, right, the ones that are marginalised, right, then you will get more funding for those people. What about the people just in the middle who just are struggling and want to do something? What about them? It winds us up.
Yeah.
It winds us up. You know, this conversation all day.
No,
we're never going to resolve it. Why? Because the powers that be aren't going to change it.
We just need to be comfortable with truth. Yeah. And I actually, so going back to kind of speaking out, people get a lot of stick on, say, like LinkedIn, because it's a professional space. And people who go out and they'll put like posts that they would say would have belonged to Facebook 10 years ago and not LinkedIn, because that's for networking and business and building your business community and all of that. I actually totally disagree. Like, I think if you're in a leadership position, like, you've got moral authority to have to talk the truth. You know what I mean? So if you've got a business, I think it's important that whether you're in a management position or you're an entrepreneur or you're a leader within a business, I think it falls on your shoulders to have to talk honestly about those things. Yeah, because you've got staff and people you employ and people you lead. You've got to set a culture that is about honesty and being your authentic self.
Yeah, but it all gets shared and liked. But behind the scenes, people go, "Oh, is he all right?"
Yeah. Don't give him that contract. He might drop the ball.
Exactly. But that's what happens. That's the reality of it, though, isn't it?
It does. And I just think, like, there was loads I loved about my job, but there was loads that was really, really difficult and oppressive. And I think some things were just a number. Yeah. And I feel like the whole work culture of our country is really quite oppressive. And people are stuck. We're stuck in this pattern of working really hard. And then you retire later and later, and then you die. And there's there's no work-life balance. And in my job, you know, they were brilliant. My managers were brilliant in the fact that I feel I could be as true as I could to myself in a professional capacity. But it was really hard, and it was just more and more work and less time, and, you know, less contracts, but they're wanting more, and everything's squeezed. Everyone's squeezed to death. You know, everything gets taken out of one. And two of my colleagues became really ill. One of them died within 7 weeks, and the other one had a heart attack. You know, and it was just like, when do we draw the line of how do we look after ourselves, and how do we learn to say no, you know, without the repercussions, or how do we ask for help and actually get help, and it doesn't become a tick box, or doesn't just become about filling out a equality and diversity policy and making sure that's working. But in reality, it doesn't work, because we're a number. And what I learned is, no matter how wonderful your manager is or how great your job is, you're replaceable.
Yeah.
But you're not to your family and friends. And I knew I was brilliant at my job. You know, I was really good at my job. I'm rubbish at loads of things, but I know I was really good at my job. But I was replaced immediately.
Yeah.
You know, it was as simple as that. And actually, we're not replaceable to those around us who love us and want to care for us. So we've just got to be better at looking after ourselves and asking for help. And I used to be the one who would be developing services for help for people. And then it was like, well, I'm not asking for help. So you've got to, but we're all a work in progress. If I want to use a book terminology. But I think there's something about reflecting and taking sometimes some time out from the rat race and just thinking, actually, how do we make our life more balanced?
Has your writing helped you do that? Like, bring you closer to your truer self and not make you feel like a part of that rat race?
Absolutely.
We talk about this, don't we, with Local Heroes?
All the time.
Absolutely. And I think I've always had a real strong work ethic instilled in us by my dad, who's 72 and still working. So I've always worked. Even when I was at university, I worked. And I've been really lucky. You know, I have been really lucky in being able to get jobs and stuff. And when I left my job, I knew I couldn't write full time because obviously didn't get any money. So I set up the business, and I was working ridiculously long hours because it was new, and because that's just what I always did. You know, loads of projects going at once, and then I would just get kind of total burnout, and I couldn't manage. And I've got ADHD, and I'm perimenopausal, so it was just too much, and I didn't have any balance. And then this year, I just thought, I don't need to do all this. Who am I doing it for? I know I'm working with people, and I know I'm helping people. You know, I get that every day where people are grateful, and it helps me. You know, doing what I do brings me joy. It keeps me healthy and well, and it benefits the people that I'm working with. But I can't be everything to everyone all the time.
Yeah.
So I just need to step back and be able to get a bit more balance. So I'm still working on it, as we all are. But yeah, it gave me time to reflect and think, what do I want to do and what do I need to do? And I think they're two different things. We all need to be able to afford to live, but what do you want to do for you as well? Because at the end of the day, how do we get that balance? How do I make sure that I'm well and doing things that I want to do and that nourish the people around me without just thinking I'm working, and at the end of the week I'm just burnt out, and then you get resentful. And balance is with everything, you know, every element of our life. It's really hard to achieve, because we get these subliminal messages from society telling us what we need to be and what we should be doing, from the media, from culture, from everything around.
Especially, again, I don't mean to kick the Northeast in the head, but because I love it up here. But again, you go back to the point you made earlier about being a creative in the north of England. It's quite a hard thing, because we've still got that, I think, like an industrial hangover around. Yeah. Well, that's your hobby, but what do you do for work?
Absolutely, yeah.
Because, I'm doing 9 till 7 every day. What do you do? Are you making films in that? All right, is that a hobby? What do you do for your job? Because I think there's still that thing about, what they call it, like the Protestant work ethic, isn't it? Yeah. You know, but you've got to graft.
Yeah.
And you sometimes have to do things that you don't like doing. But some of us find escapes from that via following what we love and carving out a niche and taking the risks that come with it. But still, sometimes people will fire back at you as if it's like a luxury that they don't have.
Yeah, but even when you get to that point where you are working out, been in the game like 19, 20 years now, it's harder than ever.
Yeah.
Now, and it's becoming harder than ever. And I'm working harder and longer than ever.
Yeah.
So the balance that you're talking about, it's an impossible thing to try and achieve, is a balance. And you do get burnt out. Why? Because you can't stop, because you got a good work ethic. And you got to keep going. Why? Because that's the level, that's the default setting now. And everybody else is doing the same thing.
Yeah.
And the clients are driving things down, and the money's coming down, and the opportunities are less, and blah, 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 blah. Do you know what I mean? And but I still want to do what I want to do. So you got to keep going. And then you end up with burnout and stuff like that. So
totally.
It's really tough though, isn't it? And
It's
it
really
hasn't
tough.
getting any better though, Helen. It's not getting any better.
It hasn't. And I was doing an event a couple of weeks ago with two well-known authors. I was kind of jumping on their limelight. And one of them, who was a Times bestseller, and he works full-time still. You think it's this is the nature of the beast, when you're doing anything in the arts, there's something about actually you don't get any money, and people ask all the time and expect. And that's without everything that you do on an evening. That's, your day and your night become one. And that's why I set up the community interest company, because I thought I can get grants. I'm used to writing bids. I can get the grants in, and I can make a difference and do what I want to do, and use me love of always working with people for the last 20 odd years in social care. I mean, new love of writing, but I couldn't do it if it wasn't a community interest company, because people can't afford to pay me to do some mentoring, or I don't want to charge people to come to a creative writing class. I want that to be free. I want it to be free, and then people run their own afterwards and connect with like-minded people. Yeah. So it's really, really difficult. And a lot of what aren't in the financial position to not have to be caught up in that.
Will you tell us a bit more about the CIC then, Helen?
Yeah. So basically I set it up. I got a lot of help from the local authority with regards to establishing the CIC, and there's loads of help in the North East, which is brilliant for people to want to set up the CIC. And basically it's about having a community interest. So with my work, what I wanted to do was teach and make creative writing inclusive for people, make it therapeutic and make it accessible. So I do a range of teaching classes which are always free, either through a grant or the local authority would commission me. So at the moment I do stuff at the Word in South Tyneside. And then I've done a range of projects that are for everyone. So I did a project called My North Tyneside, which was around intergenerational experiences of the borough. And we had people aged from 8 to 92. So that was for everyone to submit, and that all got put up on my website, and it went on tour. The pieces all went on tour, and then it went to the Heritage Fund, who kindly funded the project. And then I'll do targeted work with marginalised groups, so either through a commission or through a grant. So I mentioned the Veterans book, that was through the Queen's Jubilee Fund. I did a book with Recovery Connections, who are a charity. Oh, they're brilliant. Oh, they're brilliant. Love them. And they support people who are in addiction and recovery from substance misuse across the North East. And then I did a book with women in Walker and Baker around changes of women's roles over time and around the community. And I did one with the NHS around mental health, and I'm currently doing the book with the women in Lower Newton, and I'm doing a book with South Tees Council around a government initiative called Changing Futures, which was around services working better for people, so people don't bounce around services and they can get the right help and they're navigated in the right way. So it's all things like that. It's around projects where people don't get an opportunity and where people's voices are really important for educational reasons, but also because it's around dissolving stigma, and advocating for marginalised groups, but also things that I just want to do, that I'm interested in, and that I know will help people and help me at the same time. So I just do a range of things. Then I do bespoke kind of one-to-one work. So I'm working with a lady in North Tyneside who is a blind lady in her 90s, and she was a trailblazer for environmental issues in the 1960s. So I'm helping her write a memoir. So I'll do things like that. I
know what you think.
Sorry.
I know what you're thinking.
And then I'll do
You're
the
just setting our
stuff.
brains off in different directions here with ideas, because I think we could, stuff we could talk about after
Brilliant.
Completely, Helen. Honestly, you talk my language.
So I just do all that, and then I write as well. I've got the joy now to be able to do things I want to do.
Yeah, it's finding a way to do it.
Yeah.
And you found a way to do it, the CIC.
Yeah. And it just means that, you don't make any money from the books. So I've got the paid work, and then I can write, which is obviously me real kind of passion.
The only way you can do it to help the people is by doing that, by setting that up. But at least you can get paid to kind of continue that, which is helping other people. It is a kind of perfect scenario, but is there a pressure on getting the funding and keeping the funding to keep the doors open? Do you know what I mean?
There is, but I mean, because it's only me, there's some brilliant grants out there. So things like Awards for All from the National Lottery, they increased it to 20 grand a year. So they currently fund my prison work, and then I get the odd commission. So I might get 2 or 3 commissions a year to do projects with local authorities. And then I get the odd teaching, someone will say, can you come and do a session for this particular group? So it just trickles in nicely. And then, it gets to the point where actually I want a little bit of a break, because when you're writing a book, either with my publisher or the business, I forgot this bit actually, Right on the Tyne is a publishing house. So I've published 2 local authors through the business, who are both marginalised. One is a fiction book and one is a memoir, which both brilliant. So I have published authors through the business, and I've published my crime series through the business, when my publisher does my uplifting fiction. So it takes a lot of time to get those things. So it's just, again, balance, and it's always a learning curve.
But it's important that you've got your toe in the commercial world, and you understand how these things work and operate. So then, therefore, you can take your experience and hand it off to people who don't understand this business.
Yeah, completely.
Well, that's what should be happening. Everybody should be taking their own experiences and then handing that knowledge off to people. So then that might help them grow.
Totally agree.
And do their thing as well.
Totally.
And that's
it works.
kind of seems you got a perfect scenario sitting there, because one feeds off the other. And also when you're in different environments, ideas start coming. It's writing itself. If you just sat in the same place all the time, your ideas would be stale, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
And then this gives you opportunity for the brain to kind of start creating things, Then you be coming up with storylines, and you be coming to ideas, and you go, oh, actually, let's collaborate on this. You go from that, pivot that to that. You can sell this other thing up as a commercial entity alongside the CIC. They both have to work together, and there's no reason why they can't. Do you know what I mean?
And everything links, and I think what happens is you create a community. So I'm really lucky, and I've done a lot of teaching, and legacies of some of those courses is that the group have stayed together and continue to meet. And I've made friends, friends for life, from people that I've taught or I've worked with one-to-one, who will support everything I do. They come to all my events, they buy all my books, they tell us when they've got published or they've won a place in an anthology, and it's brilliant. It creates a community, and it creates that connection, because writing is lonely. And I've got my business and it's just me. So it can be times where it's for me, I'm demotivated, or I'm struggling, and it's lonely, and I'm thinking, does anyone else get this? Yeah. So connecting with like-minded people, even if your trade is completely different, but you're running a business, or if you're a writer, when you're from the kind of author side of things, it's really essential. And we'll create these little pockets of community, and then they support one another. So it's that knock-on effect, it's the ripple effect of now knowing that people have come together through writing who had never wrote anything in their lives, who maybe had no one, and were lonely and had struggled, or were retired and didn't feel they had a purpose and identity anymore. And now they've become a poet or a short story writer, and they believe in themselves. And it's people who are, older as well as younger. And I think that is what it's about, because now I think, well, I'm a writer. And when I started, I was like, I'm not. And now I'm proud of myself, and I'll tell people, because again, we should be celebrating my achievements rather than putting them down. Saying, oh, well, it's only this. Actually, it's a bloody big deal.
It is.
You should be proud of yourself.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
I could talk to you for hours. Do you want to tell us about your book? I don't know much about your books. How many books have you published?
Oh, well, I've done, it's very random. So I've done some non-fiction, obviously, with the business, and I did a children's book for my cat's a social media star. He won the Cats Protection Award of the Year. He was on the One Show, my cat Eric. So
hang on, your cat?
Yeah.
Eric. Love it.
Yeah.
And what kind of cat is Eric?
So Eric's a little ginger rescue, and he's got small legs and a big heart. His legs are like little marshmallows or potato croquettes.
Yeah.
He's a bit of a runt, but he's just the most beautiful cat. And we got him during lockdown from a rescue, and he's just brought such joy to our life. I just like,
When he said cat, I pictured Ginger, and then he said Eric, and I was like, hang on.
Ginger Cat's, is he naughty?
No,
Yes.
he's a very vocal Ginger Cat. My God, his voice is terrible. He creates a right stink. So Eric is a social media star. Yeah. So he has his own X and all them. I don't manage them. His favourite parent, my partner, manages them.
What's his X handle? I want to follow Eric's
Escapades.
Eric's Escapades.
And you know, it's magnificent because if you're an animal on X in particular, like it's just joyous. If you're a human, it's awful. But Eric, every single morning, people will message and say, "I haven't started my day till I've seen a picture of Eric." You know, so he's just gorgeous. So we entered him for the Cats Protection Award of the Year. Went to London and we won. So we won the Social Star category. And Eric donated all of his winnings to the New Beginnings, which is the cat rescue that saved Eric's life. He was found in a hammock. And he'd had cat flu 3 times, and he died. So he's a very little survivor. So then I wrote a book about his story, and that all goes to New Beginnings. And every year we'll have some Eric merchandise. So he does nudes. He does a calendar every year. And we did Eric tote bags in the book, and people were buying them in America. They went all over the world, these Eric books and Eric merchandise, and it all goes to New Beginnings. So
when does the calendar? I've got to get a calendar.
It will normally take orders from about September, because people then will order how many we'll get the orders for, basically, because then people are like, is there any Eric calendars left? We're like, no, it's too late. We've ordered them.
Do you need to come on the podcast?
Yeah.
He would love it. Dreamies, he's there.
Good word for us, will you?
Yeah, Dreamies. I come through the door. Cat shape through the door.
Yeah.
As I mentioned this before about, because I had a cat, Dexter. It was named after, the TV show about the serial killer Dexter. Yeah, so named our cat after but he was a Russian blue grey.
Oh, beautiful.
Absolutely beautiful, yeah. But the thing is, you go to the fridge, you just slightly open the packet of turkey, from upstairs. That was that, like the Dreamies advert, like comes skidding round the side of the kitchen door.
Brilliant.
Do you know what I mean? Just because that turkey was revealed. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, he used to love turkey. So, yeah.
I think I told you I had a ginger cat as well called Solomon.
Oh.
Named after Solomon Burke, the soul singer. Right.
Dive.
But he was so naughty. I loved him to bits. His personality, he had a massive personality. So he came out of the same litter with his sister, who was nothing. She was a black and white cat. She was called Belle, and she was really submissive, and she was a bit docile. He was really cheeky and kind of streetwise. So he used to eat her food all the time. He used to bump her out the way, and he used to walk in the kitchen, bump her out the way. And he just used to go missing all the time. She wouldn't go out. We had a cat flap in the door. She wouldn't leave. He was just out, back. And he started. First of all, he used to go missing, and he used to go to the local pet shop and go to sleep in their scales. I've got pictures of him asleep in their scales. He used to just go there all day. Life of Riley. Yeah. And then he used to climb through the neighbour's window in a Tyneside flat because he used to get fed again by them. And I think I mentioned it, didn't I? And eventually he left home. Yeah.
You will lose a cat if somebody else feeds them.
To the point, yeah. So somebody was feeding him down the street. Yeah. We were living in Forden. And our next door neighbour, John, was a postman. And we lost him, but we kept on. People were saying we saw him down the street just a couple of days ago. And it was months had passed. We were looking for him. And then John came by one day with this massive, big, fat ginger cat. And he went, I found Solomon. I was like, dear me, what's happened to you, Solomon? He's just getting fed all the time by people down the street. And eventually there was one neighbour who was feeding him every day, and he wouldn't leave their house, to the point where it was like, do you ever have uncomfortable moments where you might see somebody from your past and you double take and you think, right, okay, I'll not make eye contact again because I'm not really quite up for a conversation. He did that. Like, he came home and looked at me like that and pretty much pretended that he did not know who we were at all. And I went to stroke him and he hissed at me. Then he walked out and walked back down the street to the other house, and I never saw him again. Now and again you go past, it's catitude, yeah?
Yeah. Years ago, we used to have a mate of mine. They had Steve and Phil lived in the house, two brothers, free reign in the house, mother just given the house, right? And then they had a cat, street cat, it was a neighbour's cat called Max. Well, Max wasn't
hard as nails already.
Max was in that house every single day with personality. He was part of the family. And we were in, Max, all right, just used to come in through the back door, just on the benches, upstairs. All that
He's live there.
Like, he lived there, but it's because you feed him as well. But Max became like, he was part of the crew. Do you know what I mean? Where's Max? Oh, he's upstairs.
Fist bumping and that when he walked in.
Nobody was completely. It just became that. It became like the hangout cat, you know? He just used to come round where you're like in the kitchen, do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Do we need a podcast?
A podcast.
Podcast?
But, yeah.
We're just staff. They're the boss.
Yeah, we're just staff.
It's the fact is because you feed them and you spoil them and then they'll just turn up at your house and then all of a sudden they're in your house more than the other person's house, the owner's house.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So sorry, I digress. But Eric's really important.
Yeah, Eric's escapades.
Yeah. So that is my 4th book, and I'm releasing another 2 this year, and then I've got one next year up to now. So my other books, when we publish it, are like uplifting fiction. I say uplifting, there's some heavy issues in, but it's always about hope. And I did write a book about my dating disasters because I had 30-odd first dates for my beloved. So I wrote a book about that.
It's a TV show, that. Huh?
It is. And I changed some names, but 85% of the dates really happened. But that one, Somebody's Nobody, is my first crime police procedural book. So it took us longer to write that than my other books put together because I wanted to get it right. So it's the first in a series. The second one will be coming out in December, and it is based in Northumberland, so Northumbria Police. And that particular book, Somebody's Nobody, is around the murder of homeless people surrounding a day centre. So I used to manage homeless services in Northumberland, so it's a little bit inspired by that, by my experiences. And what I wanted from that book is for people to think about deserving and undeserving for victims and perpetrators of crime, because I think there's still that stigma around, well, you know, someone who's maybe got drug addiction issues, well, you know, they deserve it, they've done this, they've done that. The terrible terminology that's used about people who experience issues. So I wanted people to read it and think about their own moral compass to a degree. And the police procedural side of it took ages to get right, because there always is going to be someone who says, well, that's not what happens. And I'm that person, actually, in a way, because I was reading some books and it was like, well, we don't call them detective because that's Americanized. We call them officer or whatever. So I wanted to get that right. So it took ages, but I'm really happy with it. And it's quite different, I think, to other kind of crime thriller books. But it's, like I say, it's the first in the series. And then in July, next month, I'm releasing a psychological thriller about a therapist, a client, and an obsession. So that's coming out soon. It's called Broken Boundaries. And then with my publisher, I've got a book coming out in March called Finding Arthur Whittle. And that's about a guy who finds out that on his mother's deathbed, who he thought was his father isn't his father. And he goes in search for his father. So, yeah.
How exciting.
It's a great story.
It is.
Yeah,
really good.
Stories.
I want to do a bit of a thing with those books. We should do a giveaway.
We could do a giveaway.
We'll get some books from you.
Yeah.
We can get you to sign them.
Brilliant.
What could we do? Can we get people to guess Greg's order and not tell them what it is? The first 10 people get a book.
I've got a really good Greg story to tell you.
Have you?
Yeah, you're never going to have heard anything like this.
We're like the attachment of the story to the actual order as well, because it's like it's an open door as to what the answer is, isn't it, really?
Yeah.
Should we save that one, or do you want to go down that now? Because I can...
What do you think?
I'm just checking the time. That's 11:30.
Wow.
My word.
Think of a question. What could people answer? What could they guess? Is a competition. What's Eric's favourite food?
Yeah.
First 10 people to get it right.
Yeah. Eric's top 3 meats.
Yeah. Or Eric's top 3 favourite things, because it's not just food.
Oh, give us some clues, and this will be the question.
Okay.
They've got to follow Eric's account as well.
Yeah, they have to follow Eric's account. That's an entry.
Have a think, and we'll drop it when we put the podcast out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
right. He's like a little weirdo. Like he sleeps in a drawer. Do you know what I mean? He's like a little weird character. So I could think of 3 of his favourite things, or yeah.
Yes, let's do that. We'll come on.
I'll ask his parent.
Our first giveaway.
Yeah,
it's parent. Yeah. We got to go on the menu?
Go to the menu.
Yeah, we have to.
Okay, honestly,
we can't forget this Greg story.
Yeah,
it's a brilliant Greg story.
We'd have to go get Helen back on because we could talk about many things which we haven't gone down yet. Right, okay then, Helen. You pick anything from there. We'll ask the Gregs last because I'm intrigued now. I want to hear this. Save the best to last.
And a bit like poetry, they're open to your interpretation.
Yeah, you just say whatever you want that to be, and then we'll just tell you what it is because it's in our heads.
So top 3, is that me picking what I would have?
No, you just tell us top 3 and we'll tell you what that is. Do you know what I mean? It's like a secret question kind of thing.
All right, well, top 3.
But you're going to have to rank something.
Okay.
Well, this, because we usually lean into the person and what the person does.
You're going to go authors here?
No, I wasn't going to go authors. It's too obvious. No.
Too obvious.
No, I was, I mean, we couldn't go serial killers, could we? But we could.
You could do, you know.
No, good, because crime's in, isn't it? So, so all right. Go think about this one. What do you think? No. I've got it. Right. I've got it. Your top 3 words.
Oh, that. I'll give you a hug later.
Thank you.
Good question, that, like.
Very
good question.
I was thinking about this. I think about this all the time. Just good words. I love a good word. For example, pamphlet. Pamphlet.
You like the word pamphlet?
It's just.
I find it hard to say.
Pamphlet. It's such a good word.
How many people do you think put an N in rather than M?
Pamphlet.
Yeah. It's a pamphlet.
But you know what I mean? Words, single words.
What is it, Helen?
Yeah.
Top 3 words. I'll throw you off with a pamphlet.
Yeah. I don't like the word pamphlet for some reason.
How are you saying it?
Well, my favourite, these are probably very different, but my favourite word is hope.
Right, okay.
Because I think it's a really positive, inspiring, motivating word. And I think we've always got to have hope, regardless of how dark a situation can be. So I love the word hope, and that's a message in a lot of my books. It's about not giving up and having kind of hope. I love the word fluffy.
Fluffy.
Yeah, and I love the word fluffy because I think it, a friend of mine, a Welsh friend of mine, Debbie, used to say it all the time. And I think it encompasses, like, you know, niceness, kind of feeling love, friendship, just being generally fluffy and nice. But also, obviously, Eric's fluffy, so you can talk about cats, and I love animals as well. So I like hope, fluffy. I'm going to have canny because I think that's
it's on my list.
Is it? I love, because canny's got loads of meanings, hasn't it? You know, you're canny, you're nice, you're good. I'm canny hungry. I'm a bit hungry. You know, it's got loads of different meanings. And I just think it's a general all-round good word.
Yeah.
It's how you say the word as well.
It's a multi-use word.
Simple words.
It's
and how
canny big.
Yeah.
It's quite big. He's canny.
Oh, it's canny.
Yeah.
The weather's
nice.
canny.
Weather's canny. Yeah.
It's how many
canny bag of Tudor.
How many? It's like one simple word, and it's how you deliver it. How many times can you go, aye? Do you remember just one simple word? Yeah. You can deliver it in loads of different ways.
Yeah, but isn't it? There's something, I can't remember the breakdown, but there's something like when you're talking, it's something ridiculous like 90% of it is your body language, 3% of it's the word, and then the rest is delivery. So how you would deliver words on your tone of voice. So
yeah,
because I do it in the house, don't me with my daughter. I like have fun with it.
Yeah,
you know, like you do a stage call, like acting, all that kind of stuff. It's like you can say one word and be remembered forever by one word. But that's more important than somebody just delivering line after line after line. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You got to be remembered, and the skill is what you're going to do with that word. I love that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I really do.
Yeah. It just comes natural, doesn't it? So I learned a little bit of, believe it or not, I learned some Mandarin from my old job. And that is all about intonation. So it's like, you say some words on the way up, like ni, like how or ah. And like, they all mean something completely different. You've got the same word, but if you put the wrong intonation on it, it can mean something completely different. It's quite dangerous.
Yeah, I think it's dangerous now when everyone's just either emailing or texting and messaging. We get this quite a lot. It's like, can we have a meeting, please? You know, can we talk about it? Can we do a face-to-face? Because, and even on a professional level, you've always got to go above and beyond of the niceties just in case they interpret it wrong.
Yeah.
I think that's an issue with society as well. And introductions, we get a lot of emails going, hi there. It's not very personal, hi there, is it? This sounds like you send it to everybody.
Yeah.
If you go, hi Dan, all right, you understand you're actually talking to me.
Direct.
Just do that.
Yeah.
You're changing one word. That's so important. It's words you put in and words you take out.
Absolutely, yeah.
They're both just as important, I think.
You don't say hi in my emails, like.
I don't need to.
You don't put hi in. It's just like, you got that. You've done that. I'm going to set myself a task to try and write a bit of prose with canny, hope, and fluffy.
Yeah.
I like answering the phone to you by just a different thing every time. Do you know what I mean?
Peaches.
Yeah. Well, no, that was a small one. How peaches, how you doing? But what? Just like, just,
hi, Dan, you're right. What?
It really just sets the tone. It's fun, man. I like it. You know, you like to jump off the deep end now and again. You know what I mean? It's fun, isn't it? So,
of course.
Right, next question then.
Question.
So, am I picking the Greg's one here?
No, not yet. Not yet.
We're not there yet.
Drum roll for that one.
Oh.
Past sausage rolls. Drum roll.
Last meal.
Oh, your last meal. Last meal on earth.
Yeah.
What's it going to be? But only 2 courses.
You can choose any course you want.
I'm going to be cruel.
They don't have to be in sequence.
Yep. Just 2.
I'm like the cheapest date ever.
Gammon and eggers.
No, even cheaper. So my partner always laughs at me because he'll be like, shall we go for something to eat? And I'm like, I don't really like eating out. This isn't going to be my last meal, but my favourite takeaway is like chip shop chips.
Okay.
Oh.
Just that. Chip shop chips. I don't want anything else, just that.
Anything on them?
Well, I have like salt and vinegar, tomato
Question.
sauce. But just bog standard.
No gravy, curry?
No. So my last meal, my favourite food is crisps. I just love crisps. I take crisps on holiday. We go to like Vegas a lot and I take crisps. I take Weetabix as well.
You take Weetabix?
Bit nicey.
Like some people take tea bags, you
I take tea
crisps.
bags as well.
I take
Any
yeah.
particular though?
Sorry?
Like, so any particular crisps?
Yes. Oh, yeah. So I love like the like corn puffy crisps. So like something like Space Raiders I love, or Whatsits. I love hula hoop puffs. I love Cheetos.
Like a Quaver?
I do like a Quaver. They wouldn't be my top 5. I love Monster Munch, but you only get 3 in the bag, so you have to have the whole 8 bags. Do you know what I mean?
Put them on my finger and just sort of.
Monster Munch.
You don't do that.
They get crumbly, don't they?
Yeah, they do. But
Lush.
Yeah.
So I love crisps, and I would always choose those crisps rather than like your real crisps that you Walkers or your your kind of potato based, because you get more of the puffy ones. So I like to have like a full 8 bags. You know, I'm going in heavy.
Cheese
if I'm going to
balls,
have it. Yes,
like them.
Tangy Toms.
Have them at a party.
What's the most amount of crisps you've had in a day? How many bags?
Probably like the 8, but you only get 4 in a bag now, so I don't feel as greedy. I'd probably go more on the calories. You know, like if you had a big bag of, I love Doritos, but if you had a big bag of Doritos, it's like 1,500 calories, where I can have like, I wouldn't, but I could have like 30 bags of Tangy Toms for that. If I was going to overdose.
Trade-off.
Yeah.
Wait, hold on a minute.
So it's got to be taken seriously.
Put them down. I'm heading over there.
Yeah. I'm serious about the crisp.
Crisp maths.
Yeah,
I like it.
So they're my favourite food. So my favourite meal is like wholemeal bread with like salad on and maybe some cheese, and then just a massive bowl of crisps. I'll just have crisp sandwiches.
Oh, I love a crisp sandwich.
Yeah. So that's my final meal.
You crush it down.
Yeah.
Got to.
Love crisp
What
sandwiches.
about any? Is that just the main? Are you starting with that or what? Are you?
That'd be me main.
What's your dessert? Are you a sweet girl? Or?
I am. But I might just go in for a starter and have like nachos, because obviously the crisp.
Are you going to double crisp?
I might. If it's my last meal, I just don't care, do I? So
Interesting.
Maybe nachos, or maybe like a sticky toffee pudding. I do like a sticky toffee pudding and custard.
Right. Okay. There's multiple layers of questions here.
Yeah, I'm just being greedy.
No, sticky toffee pudding. What you're putting on it, what you're having with it, And is it hot or cold that you're having with it?
Oh, it's hot with custard on.
Is the custard hot as well?
Yeah, yeah.
So hot and hot, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
I like cold custard with my...
That's one of these
off.
questions as well. I like ice cream. It's got to be the cold.
Oh, I wouldn't turn ice cream down, but if my choice, it would be custard.
Okay, all right.
So I like the cold custard with ice cream on the top, so it starts to melt into the custard.
Cold custard with the ice cream on top.
That's just
Creme
weird.
anglaise.
Yeah. You only eat cold custard in emergencies, man.
You don't, Matt. What? Custard emergency.
Oh, you got nothing to
What
heat
kind of
up.
emergency?
It's only
That's
custard.
rice
You want it.
pudding.
And you
So
can't
do you
heat
not
it
like
up.
bananas and custard?
Oh, I love bananas and custard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a classic.
It is a
like
classic,
80s, isn't
It
it?
is. Yeah,
It is,
totally.
That and Angel Delight.
Yeah.
Oh.
Angel Delight.
80s.
Aye. Dream topping.
No, I
Remember
would
dream
have like
topping or not? You put it on top of the
no, I'd
Angel
have like
Delight.
slices of peaches.
Okay.
Yeah.
A bit sophisticated there. Yeah, okay, Angel Delight.
Angel
Tinned.
Delight.
Yeah. Poshing it up there.
That's it, like it.
Yeah. Yeah. So, okay. This is great.
It
I
is.
love
It's
this, man.
fantastic.
This is you can write a whole novel about these questions. What's your Greg's order?
So, my answer is pretty lame, my part, but then I've got something to really bring this game up.
Come on,
This will
then.
be the best Greg's answer you've ever had.
Yeah.
So I'm not really a Greg's fan.
See that at the camera.
I'm not really a Greg's fan, sorry. I'm not really a pastry fan, do you know? And
Yeah.
I'm vegetarian, so there's not loads of choice. But I would have a cheese pasty, although I haven't had one for about 25 years.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be my order if I had to have something. I don't really trust the vegan sausage rolls. I would just have the cheese pasty.
You don't trust them.
No, I'm not really 100% convinced that it's always going to be vegetarian. So
Can I tell you
don't-
something very quickly what you might like then? Because it's come up on a previous podcast.
Like you said,
Our second guest, and I think you might like this. The guy Neil from Pink Lane Bakery. You know Pink Lane Bakery?
Yeah.
So he's the founder, and he came on the podcast, second guest, and he he loved a cheese pasty sandwich
Oh,
with
God.
a packet of cheese and onion crisps in it.
in the sandwich.
Just thought that might
Bun,
appeal to your
pasty,
crisp
crisps.
How I
nature.
feel about that.
So double cheese.
It's the layers. I don't like the layers. I wouldn't like the pastry bread. Pastry bread
Yeah.
combo feels a bit wrong.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Does the textures worry you a bit or not?
No, I don't think so. I'm not really. I just don't like that. I'm not a pastry fan. So that's my crap answer.
All right. Okay.
But you ready?
Go on then.
Yeah.
So my granddad was born in 1918 and he was in the army. Excuse me. And in the army, he built an oven and it was called Geordie's Oven, right? So when he left the army and he was no longer a soldier, he worked at Greg's. So he worked at Greg's all his life. Excuse me. And all his career he worked at Greg's. He was a baker. And I remember my granddad was... he was in his 80s when he died, but he still lived at home. And I remember my granddad used to make Christmas cakes every Christmas, and he would decorate them beautifully, you know, and all the marzipan, all the piping, and he used to sit on his sideboard. And he was just a legend, my granddad. He had a copy of the Mona Lisa in his flat in Wallsend, and he thought it was the real one. So when I saw the real one in the Louvre, I was like, actually, granddad's is better. So he was a proper legend, and he worked at Greg's all his life. Now, I don't know if he was some kind of Wallsend, Walter White, Heisenberg type of thing, because he used to go all over the world. Now, bear in mind, he lived in this flat in Wallsend with my grandma, and he used to go to like Tokyo, Russia, Dallas. He used to travel the world. And every time he went on holiday, he took his Greg's bag and he took a photo of himself and my grandma with the Greg's bag. I mean, that's just brilliant, isn't it? We've got them. We've got copies of them.
gobsmacked.
It's just amazing.
We need to see
We'll
those
get
pictures.
those pictures.
amazing.
Have you got them?
Have you got them?
Will you take some pictures
Aye,
of the
will.
pictures?
There's those pictures.
And do you know what? He's brilliant. He had like a ginger toupee and it was really, really obvious it was a wig as well. Just like, it was like almost Eric's tail just sitting on his
That's
head.
a movie,
I know, he's just brilliant.
isn't it?
I reckon he did that on purpose to kind of throw people off.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
Just to show he's like, it's just a normal guy, man.
He was amazing.
Yeah.
So that's my Greg story.
That is
Greg's
incredible.
bag went all over the world. He worked for Greg's all his life and just loved it.
You can't follow that, can you?
No,
fantastic.
nothing to say. I think that's my favourite Greg's order so far.
So my order's
Actually,
crap,
it's-
but my granddad's a legend.
What a story! What a story!
Granddad's a Greg's legend.
Yeah, we've got to get some pictures of those pictures.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, completely.
Yeah, because I'm sure they would like to see them.
I'm sure, yeah.
It's brilliant.
Right?
There's your next book then, Helena.
We've got some follow-ups to do after this.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Brilliant. Thanks a lot, Helen.
Thanks, Helen.
It's been great.
Thank you.
Really loved it.
Lovely.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.